For my level design project, I chose to base my design off the movie Requiem for a Dream. With that being said, as a player progresses from one structure to the next, they become more encapsulated within their drug addiction, which starts to have a toll on the environment. When the player first starts the game, they end up in this room, and it's the assumed parents' room or apartment. You see a bright light over the door, so you walk up to it and you push E. It says key required. Now you know that there's a key somewhere in order to get through the doors you need to capture. So you're walking through, you see a floating syringe. When you push E, it says key collected. Now the player knows that syringes are needed to get from one room to the next. Also notice the height of the walls, because that'll be important later on. As you go through the door, you end up in the assumed character's room. You see another door. Again, it says key required. Now the player knows that they need a key for each individual door. As you explore a little bit, you find the key. You push E, you collect it. Now the table is floating, which wasn't happening before. This is an indication to the player that the more keys that they collect, the more drugs that are in their system, which means the more it'll affect the environment. So this appears to be the same room that we were previously in, but the brightness of the lights are a little bit darker as well as the tone of the lights. The walls are a little bit higher this time too. We see the door, we already know that we need the key to get into the door. Upon collection of the key, the books start getting flung out of the bookshelf, which have an effect on the player's movement, which become important later on. If you walk through the door, you start to notice a blinking light. The player doesn't know why there's a blinking light, but they'll find out later on. The single floor plane is gone, and now it's a bunch of different floor planes to make a platform. We already know that we need another key to get through that door, so we must go find that key. Upon collection of the key, instead of the table floating, now the pillows are floating, as well as the platforms for the floor. Again, we're back from where we started, but the lights are darker and the tone is even darker than before. The walls are a little bit taller. As you progress through the level, the player is going to start feeling like they're smaller and smaller within the world, showing that they're losing control of their life within the environment. Again, we know we need the key, so we go and collect. Now the difficulty increased even more. There's less floor platforms, but they are a little bit larger to give the player a little bit nicer of a time. As just demonstrated, when you fall through to your death, you don't restart from the first structure, you restart from the structure you were currently in, and all the doors are already unlocked, so you don't lose any progress made. And just as before, the platforms start moving, which increases the difficulty even more previously. Now we're in a hospital setting. This is an indication to the player that their player character is taking too many drugs, so somebody is obviously trying to help them out so they didn't OD and die. But everything is just how it should be. There's no floors moving. It shows an indication that the player was revived. So now the walls are really tall. That's, like I said before, showing that the player is falling farther and farther with drug addiction. Now when you get to the player's room, the room is completely turned around and the platforms are much smaller, much farther spaced apart. As of before, we still know that we need to go find the key. And the lights are still blinking, we still don't know why. Again, we're in the hospital. Unlike before, the hospital floor is moving around. This is showing that the character's mental health is not okay at this point, and even hospitals aren't able to make everything right. So once we're out of the hospital, we end up in this room, and there's no way out, and there's no way in at this. Which is also how the movie ends. So that's the ending, and then after this point, you would progress on to the next level. But since the project only had us do one level, this is it.